Hi gamers. How are the besties? I had another nappy today. It was pretty nice. It was pretty cool what I heard. Yeah. I heard it was really good. I know Shiggy likes it and is in love with the guy who has the hot dog stand. That's all I know. That's what I'm talking about. Woo! We like the art commission for you.
The last day of giving Nova money while I'm on vacation. P.S. I hope you liked the art I commissioned of you from Mochi. She did such a good job with it.
I know! Mochi's so good! Mochi, my ghost, my child! Also, fuck you, Max, to give me money, you bitch! Yes, thank you for commissioning art for Mochi and supporting Mochi. She's very babe. Hello, Bess, how are you doing today? Good. Work today was pretty chill. So, as soon as I got home, I went to eat. Actually, no, I lied. When I got home from work today, I went out to get ube ice cream with Miwa, and then I went eat. And now I'm here. Maybe go fun with Under 5 again. Maybe go in general is pretty fun. It's a silly deck. Play new DK games or Nintendo Shill. That's so real. How is it? Well, ice cream flavor ube. It was really good. Bosky's 5D's video is peak indeed. Looking forward to this. Yeah. The reason why it wasn't on the schedule for a bit is I had to wait to get permission. Like, I had my manager. Oh, Rudy, thank you for the raid. Welcome, readers. Hi, I know I'll play card games.
Dude, why are you being a simp?
Here's the share of birthday spoilers I promised you.
Fuck
Enjoy.
you! Stop giving me money, you bitch! Fuck you! Don't give me money, asshole! Also, happy birthday. I thought your birthday already passed. Yeah, Rudy, we had a good stream. I forgot, were you playing? Fuck, I literally just saw your stream too. What were you playing? I can't think of what it was. Oh, you're playing Nen, the Hunter x Hunter fighting game. How was it? I thought you're going through a fighting game arc, the little one. Yeah, we had fun playing Nen Impact. Much love. Fuck you back before you say it. Fuck you.
Hey, yo, is that a super chat?
Much lovey. F you back before you say it. Smile.
More like non-impact. Is it? I heard it was good though. It was pretty fun. I like watching anime. You know what? Real. But anyway, yeah, the reason why this wasn't on the schedule, was because I was waiting to get permission back from Foskid. Like, I had my manager, reach out, and it just took me to get a response. I usually don't want to react to things unless I know for sure the creator's okay with it. And I haven't seen anyone react to this yet, so I was like,
Hey, yo, is that a super chat?
I will wait just in case.
Give bestie money. Don't mind if I do.
Fuck you, Necro. Stop giving me money. 5D's best season. Like, I stopped watching 5Ds. I liked the Dark Signer arc a lot. It was really good. That shit was peak. Like, it had everything I wanted in an anime. And the second season was fucking terrible. That shit was so boring. Have a medical school exam tomorrow. Some advice? Just make sure you drink lots of water and try to relax. I think if you go into an exam stressed, you do worse. Just try to relax and like drink lots of water. You got this, gamer. But yeah, fucking the second arc sucked. That shit was so ass. So it was the ghost. Such a good take. Thank you. Second season was slow. Once the Grand Prix started, it was good. That's fair. Did you make it to Crash Town? I already watched Crash Town. It was alright. I do like how they have like gun duel discs. Those are pretty cool. Can I forgo a free soup? 27 months.
Welcome to membership, bestie.
Who would have thought real? Welcome to membership, gamer. Thank you. Didn't even know, but I had a peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel. I was going second Tenpai. Played Field Spell and normal summon
Good
Hydra.
evening, Nova.
One of these
I
impermanents
had a
and a scoop.
peak Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel was going second Tenpai, played field spell then normal summoned Pedra. unaffected, and my opponent used impermanence then scooped roll.
That's so fucking funny. But thank you for the super chat. Thank you. Red Dragon Archfiend's the best. You know what? Real. I don't like Red Dragon Archfiend's JP name. Like, that's the one time that the JP name is worse than the English one. Like, Red Demon Dragon is not as cool as Red Dragon Archfiend. Red Dragon Archfiend's such a cool name. Does have another GX scenario? Oh yeah, what do you mean? Oh, what do you mean? GX is peak. Still says that the Jack and Carly isn't a ship. It's a ship in my heart. They're together in my heart. They're in love. Oh, with the dub? Yeah, they didn't finish the dub for 5Ds. Completely new use. Cards are coming out soon. Yeah, I saw they get a new structure deck. Red Demon Dragon. It's not as cool as Red Dragon Archfiend though. Red Dragon Archfiend's so cool. Such a cool name. The Kizix you say is the best. At least that's the real shit. They actually go on a date. Okay. Anyway, let me start with the video because the video's kind of long. And knowing me, I will yap. We'll have to turn off the chat on this side. Covers a little bit. Don't shut up. I'm too busy being a gamer. Yeah, let me turn the chats off here. Okay. We knew. Okay. Actually, is it the right size? Yeah, it's fine. Okay. Anyway, gamers, are we ready? Are we ready? Can't wait to put my blue eyes deck into gem accessories. Yeah, those who bought the gem deck box from my birthday, those have shipped out, or at least the first wave has shipped out. So be sure to check your email and see if you got a tracking number. Okay, so are we ready, gamers? Have you seen Bossy on time? I have! I've tried my best to watch everything Yu-Gi-Oh! GX related because it's my favorite. Can you shift a little to the left? I can, actually, better yet, what I can do is do this. Is that better? How much can our bestie? Yeah, it's a 1 hour video. Can we turn it into 3? I mean, to be fair, I turned a 20-minute video into an hour and a half long thing. So yeah. I finished watching 5D sub last week. Had a good time. I love that for you. Look, my membership gamer. Thank you. Oh yeah. Let's go.
Honestly, you never expected this series to take off.
Is the audio okay? Is it playing for you guys? Just making sure. And then also let me go beginning. Okay. It's good? Okay. Good.
Imagine you're Kazuki Takahashi, the creator of the world-famous Yu-Gi-Oh! Franchise. Honestly, you never expected this series to take off in such a massive way, especially off the back of a Magic the Gathering homage that was originally intended to be a one-off thing in your episodic horror manga, focused on funny little games like setting bullies on fire. But fans loved the idea of the card game so much that you gradually expanded on it until it became the global phenomenon that it is now. To the point world tournaments were being held yearly, and fans were crashing into the Konami offices with the release of every new band.
What the fuck is that? What is that? What is that? What? Why is it on fire? Probably cook a new band list. What the? That's crazy. Okay. They unbanned backseat. That's crazy. It's just kitchen smoke? Whack. They're gonna do a salad and greens.
list. Now it's 2006 though, and production is wrapping up on the anime sequel series Yu-Gi-Oh! GX.
That's my fucking goat right there.
After a decade, you feel this is the time to end the series and move on to something else. But the production staff on the anime ring you up like,
come on, man, just one more series, and then we'll never, ever, ever ask another one from you ever again.
alright, fine, one more. But if you're gonna do this, you're gonna go big. Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Akira. That means motorcycles.
I never thought of... Wait. I never actually thought of 5Ds being that way. What the fuck? Now that you bring it up, that's actually kind of right. I never thought of like 5Ds being like Yu-Gi-Oh! Meets Akira. And I love Akira. It's one of my favorite movies. And now I'm like, wait, now I think I have to like 5Ds. Wait, fuck. You did it? I don't know why it never clicked with me. I mean, like, yeah, there's motorcycles in a post-apocalyptic world, which is like basically what Akira is, but for some reason, I never put the two together. Sure, and they have psychic like Akira? Oh my god, wait, you're right. Holy shit.
That means an oppressive shadow government. That means a futuristic dystopian setting layered with social class commentary. And psychic powers.
Yeah.
Are we doing the Akira slide?
Are we doing the Akira slide? Of course we're gonna do the Akira slide. You think we're gonna do a futuristic setting with motorcycles and not do the Akira bike slide somewhere?
Okay, it's
Get
cool,
your head out
though.
of your ass. And that, in essence, is how we got Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. But why do I bring all this up? Well, ever since I was a tiny child, Yu-Gi-Oh's always been my kind of comfort trash. Yeah, it's a series where any ideological debate is settled with a game of canasta in order to advertise the newest booster packs, but once you accept its bizarre internal logic of Egyptian gods and blue eyes white jets, it's unbelievably easy to sink into, both in its surprisingly endearing characters and engaging card systems. There's a reason that few card-focused series took off in the same way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Did. Anyone remember Chaotic? Or Duel Masters?
Duel Masters? Wait, what the fuck is chaotic? Wait. We're
There's
back.
a reason that few card-focused series took off in the same way that Yu-Gi-Oh! Did. Anyone remember Chaotic?
What the fuck is that? Like, I know what Duel Masters is, but what the fuck is chaotic? What? You ever hit chaotic? No! Cause I understand that like Duel Masters was almost like a response to like Yu-Gi-Oh! It was like a more like anime like card game and it's similar style of Magic. I know Duel Masters is going. I played Duel Masters. Well, I have. Free on YouTube. Really? Because of 4Kids management? Oh. It was Yu-Gi-Oh! At home. These cards look funky though. Like, what am I looking at? What are these dots for? What are the little like symbols on the left side? What are the random letters and numbers mean? This is an online client? That's crazy. Cards of online codes? What the? Wait, so would this be like the first time we had like an online sim for a card game? That's crazy. Imagine gotching on card stats. That's crazy.
Or Duel Masters? So
Duel Masters
while
might go,
I've been
though.
distracting myself from finishing part 2 of the reboot video, which is totally coming and definitely not canceled by higher up management, I've been relying on my go-to form of procrastination, playing Duel Links on my phone.
I don't know, this video took so long to finish that Mash Duel is now the new tool of procrastination. It took so long, a whole new game came.
Which inevitably led me to going back to rewatching past Yu-Gi-Oh series. Duel Monsters, GX, 5Ds, and started on Arc V since I never watched it all the way through when it was recently added into Duel Links. Now, originally, when I was watching through these series and planning out a potential video, I intended to talk about GX and how it's a near-perfect sequel to the original series. But then I got to 5Ds, and that's when I noticed something. In talking to friends and acquaintances who were into Yu-Gi-Oh back in the day like I was, it seems that most got to this series when Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds, more like Yu-Gi-Oh 5Ds nuts, ha, got 'em, and then moved on to Gears of War 2. Makes sense since people my age got into the original series when they were in their preteens and it was popular in the schoolyard. So 5Ds was airing when they were firmly in high school territory and transitioning out of Saturday morning cartoons. But that's disappointing because 5Ds is by far one of the most interesting things Yu-Gi-Oh has ever had to offer. What makes 5Ds stand out is how it immediately differentiated itself from everything that came before or after. The protagonists were aged up, the tone was grimmer without being aggressively edgy, there's nuanced themes related to poverty and privilege, within the context of still being a card game series. When I implied this was
Wait,
a
is that
hero-
Diddy Crow? I'm sorry, now that I see Diddy Crow, I keep getting traumatized from... Wow, what was it? What video did I watch that had Diddy Crow in it? And I realized that Diddy Crow's a fucking cyborg crow. And then Crow never played it.
context of still being a
Oh,
card
Rebel
game
I see.
series. When I implied this was Akira meets Yu-Gi-Oh, I wasn't kidding. You can tell that 5Ds is where the creators tried to break out of the mold that the previous series had found themselves in. And for the most part, they nailed it. So while I will eventually cover the previous series, because I love some of these dumbasses too much not to talk about them at some point, for now, I have a major itch to dig into 5Ds, and my ADD brain only lets me focus on
Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds, VTubers, ideas for videos will never be made, these nuts jokes, funny little anxieties. Why is this my brain, but you changed 5Ds to GX? This is me. It's my brain. This is literally me. Yeah, just change 5Ds to GX, and that's me.
one hyper obsession at a time. That means for today, we're going to be talking about why this anime about card games being played on motorcycles is actually pretty sick, and in a lot of ways, Yu-Gi-Oh! At its peak.
この番組はグランドスポーツの提供でお送りします。
So first things first, let's get the main
What if Fox Kid's a Noah fan? You know what's so funny? Apparently he has watched my things before. I only know that because apparently in the email he replied back to my manager. He was like, yeah, thank you. I would be honored to ever watch it. I've watched Noah before. She's funny. So thank you, Mr. Fox Kid. Apparently he thinks I'm a funny little lad. Dude, Musume is very based. That's very based. I love Musume.
main premise I'm sure is on everyone's mind out of the way. That being
Card games on motorcycles.
Card games on motorcycles!
Card games on motorcycles.
Crow, did you hear that? Card games on motorcycles!
yes, if there's one thing 5Ds is prolific for, even for those who haven't watched it, it's the fact that a majority of the duels happen on motorbikes. I remember when the series started airing in the West, it was already getting memed into the dirt for its initial sales pitch. And admittedly, it is patently ridiculous and over the top.
But it's cool.
But same goes for most of Yu-Gi-Oh's core premise. The original series is an ancient Egyptian pharaoh possessing the body of a high school boy and going on adventures where nearly every...
Okay, I'm sorry. You can't really like meme too hard with card games on motorcycles when in the original, they were literally having like war shit happening with children's card games. Or like, they were like dueling on blimps. Like, or going into VR. Like, I feel like card games on motorcycles is one of the more tame things that Yu-Gi-Oh! Has done. Like, even in comparison to like, what? The older series, right? Like in GX, they're going to different dimensions where dual monsters are real. They have Egyptian magic. Like, card games on motorcycles, the most tame thing they've done. Yeah, this scene happened on fucking on top of a train. They were dueling on a train. Yeah, and GX is literally a school for professional children's card games. And they go to college for it too. Yeah, and DSA Jewel Legit Monkey. Yeah, literally. Yeah, it was always insane. I feel like card game motorcycles is tame. That's like whatever. I don't know why it's memed so hard.
Every conflict is resolved through a round of Cards Against Humanity, which originated a couple millennia ago, but motorcycles is what crossed the line. Granted, a lot of things in the previous series could be hand-waved away with a simple, it's magic, and get away with it, where playing cards on a moving vehicle was rooted just enough in reality that it started putting viewer suspension of disbelief in a vice grip. If you can get over that though, you'd find that dual runners are easily the best addition 5D's brought to the series. After nearing a decade of card games, the duels in the original series and GX were slowly growing stale. Still fun, but there's only so many ways you can frame two characters standing in a field throwing cards at each other to be exciting for the viewer, without doing some gimmick to fill out an entire episode. Then in comes turbo duels, and suddenly there's entirely new dynamics to the way these scenes can be played. It's like how strip poker is a spicy advancement of regular poker.
What?
But unlike the guy who suggests playing strip poker at a party, fusion summoning on the back of a motorcycle absolutely fucks. Now it's not just about the cards being played and the hologram.
I would just finish my own Yu-Gi-Oh! Watch through. Season 0, GX, Dual Monster 5Ds, with the caveat 5Ds ended after Dark Centers, I put above Season 0. Honestly, I'll give you that one. Yeah, I'd give you that. That's pretty accurate how I feel as well. Why I say strip poker? I guess they're trying to, like, the argument trying to make is that, like, strip poker is just like a step above normal poker. So I guess like turbo duels are a step above normal dueling. I don't know. Let my goat cook, I guess.
Grams that can maybe sort of cause physical reactions, but how the duelists maneuver their uniquely designed dual runners. Suddenly, speed, control, movement, and locales are all factors to how a duel unfolds, radically changing their pace and flow. From the very first episode of 5Ds, we can see how much turbo duels change things in subtle ways, as the debut duel is a chase sequence where law enforcement are pursuing the main character, and the only way for Yusei to escape is to win, thus causing the officer's dual runner to stall out. Fast forward to their next couple duels, as Officer Trudge gradually becomes the Javert to Yusei's Jean Valjean, and his driving becomes...
The what? What? Is that meant to be a reference to something I just don't understand? Is that due for Season 0? Yeah. So that's like the bully that Yugi had. Les Mis? Oh! I've never seen Les Mis, I'm sorry. Yeah, I've never seen Les Mis, I'm sorry. Have you seen the musical? No. I'm not a real musical person. Like, I'm sure they're fine. Like, I heard that, that Les Mis is very good. So, like, I'm sure it's great. I'm just not a musical person. It's just not for me. Yeah, I was saying that, what's it called? But yes, Trudge is the bully that Yugi had in season 0. And I think he also showed up a little bit at a flashback in season 1.
Becomes actively aggressive and hostile in his attempts to take down this punk kid from the satellite, tossing aside any honor by attempting to run Yusei completely off the road before he can win and evade authorities yet again. Throughout 5Ds, the danger of crashing being this ever-looming threat significantly increases the intensity of duels, as characters have to balance the active variable of riding with the mind games inherent with a card game, giving way to entirely different approaches of telling a story that wouldn't work with the ground-based duels of previous.
Not a musical person was able to play some instruments. Okay, I mean like the actual genre of musicals, not music itself. Again, like, I don't know, I can't think of like a musical that I was like, yeah, this rocks. You know what I mean? Like, I liked High School Musical when I was younger, but that's about the extent all you'll get from me. I don't know. Symphogear? I mean like musical in a more traditional sense. High School Musical still slaps. Bet on it, a banger. Oops. I bet the musical, have not seen it. Sound of Music, I watched it once, it was alright. Camp Rock? I guess. I liked Camp Rock, I guess. Right Funkin'? I don't know if that would count as a musical. It's like, that's a video game. Pegasus died in 5Ds is my headcanon that Chumley took over boss of Industrial Illusions. I like that idea. Sounds pretty good. That could be a good headcanon. It's hilarious how dramatic they were when they attacked directly. Oh, and Yugioh? They're always like that, though. It's always, like, super intense when someone gets hit.
Previous series. Though, to be fair, on paper, turbo duels aren't that different from the traditional format outside of the motorsports aspect. It uses unique spell cards that require speed counters, which themselves are gained each turn as the duelists speed around the track, and can be lost when players lose more than 1,000 life points, causing them to slow down. But other than a couple tangential rules that come up in the Grand Prix tournament arc, it's a modified rule set. Nothing that can't hypothetically be done sitting down, even being included in a few of the video games. So I can understand why some feel that the speed aspect doesn't feel fully utilized. In retrospect, the creators of the anime were clearly walking a fine line between trying to make turbo duels a unique style of play to keep things fresh within the 5Ds universe, without adding in too many extrinsic elements or exclusive rules that turn it into anime wacky racers, possibly confusing longtime fans of the original game in the process. And in that sense, turbo duels work well. Blending the visual language of motorsports with the moment-to-moment pace of a card game is a genuinely clever solution, adding in entirely new dimensions to how duels were animated and framed. Now that characters weren't physically nailed down to whatever spot they planted their feet when they started the duel, the animators had so much more freedom when it came to set pieces and storyboarding, framing matches through the positioning of opponents in the physical race, along with the monsters being summoned. Like, I'm trying my best to rationalize this, but at the end of the day, a character casually leaping over a vat of molten iron on their duel runner as they draw the vital card they need is just rad, plain and simple. But it's not just about dueling for the sake of itself. Duels at their best in this series are more than just the cards being.
That's the one thing I will give 5Ds, but I'm shitting on it all the time, is that it has so many fucking cool ass moments. Like, the duels felt really cool. Can't member for 2 days in a row, so second don't know help. Oh, thank you. I'm sorry you can't member. I don't know why it's being weird. But yeah, everything felt really cool. Like, even the arcs that were like really boring, the duels felt cool. Like, even during the, what's it called? Where's the one where they become cowboys? I can't remember the name. Crashtown. Even during Crashtown, I was like, the plot, hung shoo, mimir. However, duelists with guns is cool as hell, and they're riding like a coal mine. Super cool. Yeah, the whole show is hype moments and aura. That shit was rad. Or like when Yusei had to be like strapped down when he's what's it called? In jail, and he took a card from everyone and he's being electrocuted. That shit was cool as hell. Everything felt really cool. Okay. Kaishina was awesome. I don't know. At that point, the story kind of got pretty for me. That was the kind of arc where I was like, this is just like whatever. But the duels were really cool. I was hyped as a 7-year-old. I was hyped as a grown-ass adult watching 5Ds. Even when like Yusei randomly punches people, that's rad as hell. The jail duel was cool. Even now when I watch it every so often, it's so cool. Yeah, after Darksiders, it kind of got like, whatever for me. Darksiders was really cool. The stakes are rad. The fact that the real threat was everyone dying was crazy. Like, yeah, people we just met, everyone's dying. Like, people are falling off the sides of buildings because, like, the threat of death is always, like, a thing in Yu-Gi-Oh! Right? But, like, we never saw it to the extent of, like, during the Darksiders arc of people being fucking eviscerated. Talking about a building, yeah, that shit was so sad. Seriously, to lose the dark magics of Yu-Gi-Oh! Yeah, it was kind of like whatever. But yeah, I don't know. I feel like that was like peak 5Ds for me. That shit was fire. Slows down Darksiders, it picks up immensely towards the end of WRGP, especially during our Cradle.
Played. They're about the emotions and stories built around them. No one cares if Jaden beats the monkey, it's what the monkey represents. In that same way, dual runners aren't simply motorcycles equal cool, but actually are justified subtextually within the story, synchronizing with the actual themes of 5Ds. However, before we start digging into that, I'm gonna have to take a quick detour and address another elephant in the room first. And that's the sub versus dub situation that hovers over any anime for kids localized back in the day, like some toxic miasma.
How about a nice room in a
The
dungeon
point is
for
so
the rest
funny.
of your days?
Now, it's not a secret for anyone growing up in the early
King?
aughts that 4Kids made a habit of mishandling the anime they localized. Usually in hyper-sanitizing anything not conventionally found in Little Timmy's 3rd grade classroom, leading to hilariously bizarre abstractions.
These donuts are great! Jelly-filled are my favorite! Nothing beats a jelly-filled donut.
But the situation with Yu-Gi-Oh's dub in particular has always been an anomaly. On the one hand, between all the iconic performances and concepts like the Shadow Realm that have been fused into the fanbase's lexicon, Yu-Gi-Oh! Was the rare 4Kids dub that held up beyond the campy, so bad it's good qualities. One of the reasons Seto Kaiba has become the icon he is today was due to the phenomenal job Eric Stewart did voicing him in the dub.
And anyone who's late for registration will be disqualified. Mokuba, make sure Wheeler's late.
However,
If this is like just a me opinion, but I fuck with 4Kids dubs. Like, I don't take them too seriously. They're a fun time. Because for me, 4Kids dubs wrap around from being like so bad that they're good. Like, they're a fun time. If you don't take them seriously, they're great. Go quote real. Some of the lines that Kaiba has are really good. Kaiba's a hater for the love of the game. Real. 4Kids Kaiba is toxic. I mean, Kaiba in general is kind of toxic, but especially in the 4Kids dub. They're fun to make fun of. Yeah, as long as you don't take the 4Kids dub, like, super seriously, they're a fun time. Oh, yeah, I agree. I can't stand the Zexal dub. That one, like, that was truly one time where, like, I was like, I can't do this for a dub. I'm a dub apologist, right? In any capacity. It's usually, at the very least, fine, and I can listen to it. Like, I'm okay with listening to an English dub of an anime. I feel like truly the only time I ever, like, rage quit, like, a dub was Zexal. Zexal was really bad. Because I could tell when I was watching that I would like Yuma as a character, I like based on context because of what he was doing, I was like, yeah, I feel like in theory I would like you. I just can't stand listening to you anymore. So I had to swap when I watched XL. I couldn't do it. And was I feeling the flow? No, I like when he says I'm feeling the flow and a high five with the sky. I thought it was really cute. I thought it was really freaking cute. He's a little baby. But everything else I was like, no, I can't listen to you anymore. The GX jump, that was a gift for the gods. True, it's so good. You didn't high five this guy? No, but I felt the flow.
In making these changes, 4Kids also had to drastically, and I mean drastically, change the source material in order to bring it stateside, either due to localization decisions made by 4Kids themselves, or changes that were required by FCC regulations for children's programming, resulting in the tone of the series often being aged down from how it was originally written.
On your feet. Mr. Pegasus, would like to have a few words with you.
Of all the series, though, there's a strong argument to be made that 5Ds got the worst of this. Where GX's inherently lighthearted school setting allowed for plenty of freedom to be goofy in its localization,
I'm ready to duel. Let's go. Yo, I'm down, but we be illin', homeboy. I have no idea what you just said.
for a moment,
Wait, I didn't hear that again. Fuck, I love GX, dude. That shit's peak. That shit's peak. Get out of here. I hear it again.
to be goofy in its localization,
I'm ready to duel. Let's go. Yo, I'm down, but we be illin', homeboy. I have no idea what you just said.
for a moment,
God, I love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That shit was peak. That shit's peak. Funny it wasn't for kids. No, it's not meant for children. This was definitely meant for little kids. God, peak, Kino, cinema. I love Yu-Gi-Oh! GX. That shit's fire. Yeah, please don't at me in chat. I can read it, don't worry. I know. Sean Chen did a lot of stuff for 4Kids at the time.
Moment 1, 5Ds is thematically and narratively built around serious subject matter related to classism, discrimination, violence, guns, and death, which had to be heavily toned down or removed altogether.
How does it look, Doctor?
He's got some serious bruising on the right side of his abdomen.
Is he going to be all right?
It's a long shot.
Since storylines like a psychic cult torturing a boy to death, resulting in his sister having a mental breakdown and driving off a cliff, leading her to make a sinister pact with an ancient evil gecko so that she can seek vengeance on her brother's killers, would be difficult to keep to a soft PG rating, 4Kids had to file down 5D's sharper edges with a belt sander, removing most of the bite when it comes to its deeper themes, even if it gave us some undeniably hilarious edits attempting to work around the darker moments of the story.
Don't worry, he's not in any pain. The child is actually creating that electrostatic force field with his telekinetic abilities.
Attempting to work around the darker moments of the story.
Don't worry, he's not in any pain. The child is actually creating that electrostatic force field with his telekinetic abilities.
Yeah, he's screaming for dear life, but he's not in pain though. He's fine. he's not in pain at all. He's screaming. He's like ah, it hurts, but no, he's fine. He's just making thunder. It's because he's a psychic. Did you know that? You know what blew my mind? The fact that Japanese fans will have no nostalgia for 4Kids Yu-Gi-Oh! Soundtrack so incredible they don't even know. Yeah, real! I sometimes think about that, how there's like certain, like, I don't know if nuance is the right word, but certain things that come from the American version of Yu-Gi-Oh! That people just don't know. Like, I have a friend of mine, when I was visiting here in Japan, right? We bought Yu-Gi-Oh! Merch, and I was like, I was trying to explain to her, like, I was like, oh my God, it's Joey Wheeler, Brooklyn accent. She's like, what? And I was like, yeah, that's Joey. And she's like, huh? Yeah, it's very funny, like, trying to explain the American, like perspective of Yu-Gi-Oh! Then they just don't know. It just doesn't exist there. Not even they have different names. Like, more like Brooklyn Ray just doesn't exist. Like, the meme of him being, like, from New York, that's a whole 4Kids thing. Does not exist in the original version at all. Time to duel you, yeah. If I remember correctly, that stems from, like, in Japanese, the way he speaks, like, he doesn't use honorifics. He sounds like almost like kind of like not as like polite. So I guess the way 4Kids interpreted that is being from New York. He's from Brooklyn, Japan. Five is the only Yu-Gi-Oh series that's a Colombian that was a Mexican. Oh, really? Yeah, he makes like a rude manner. He doesn't use honorifics. Joe no Chut's a punk. Yeah, I'm walking here. Yeah, so the way they interpreted that for English is make him from New York. The New Yorkers do not allow Joey Wheeler. He's Long Island. Damn, that's crazy. He's got my New York stamp of approval. If anyone's from New York, do you claim Joey Wheeler? I feel like you should, right? He's an American classic. He's an American hero. I think any New Yorker would claim Joey, right? He gets the New York stamp of approval, right? Yeah. New Yorker here. It's true we don't use Japanese honorifics. But if you're from New York, do you claim Joey Wheeler? Do you accept him as a New Yorker? He's not the American hero because we abandoned Keith? What the fuck? No. As an upstate New Yorker, he them city boy, we don't claim him. We accept Joey for New York, Japan. Okay, fine. Okay, anyway.
Probably the best example of this is with the Crashtown arc, a 6-episode mini arc that homages classic westerns, where in real time you can see 4Kids localizers twisting themselves into Honda knots to avoid showing any use of guns on screen.
No, she's right! We've been under Lawton's thumb for long enough!
Due to this requirement to censor around the use of firearms, the big finale to the last duel in Crashtown had to be removed entirely because it unavoidably concludes with the man getting shot in the head after a quick draw standoff. And that sucks, as
oh my
it is
God.
the coolest moment of the entire series. I implore anyone who has not watched the sub version of this series, at the very least, look up this duel, as it is
cool.
masterfully done. Further highlighted by this slick western accompaniment in the background.
Yeah, I forgot. Isn't it in Crashtown? Like, if you lose, right? Like, if you get challenged by that one gang, if you lose to them, you die. Am I crazy? Is that not what happens in Crashtown? You can sit to the mines? I see. Oh, that's what it was. I remember something happened if you lost the duel. It was, like, pretty, like, devastating if you lost. That's what it was. And that's why the final duel was in the mines. I remember now. Okay. Like Minecraft. I see. Actually, now that I think about it, didn't Arc 5 also have a similar arc to this? Like if you lost a duel, they send you also to the mines? Wasn't it also in the 5Ds part of Arc 5? Where if you lost it, you die. I thought you get sent to the mines forever. Yeah. That was like during the Friendship Cup, I think is what it was called. Yeah. It was like in the single dimension. If you lose, you get sent to the mines, and it was bad because literally all of Yu's friends got sent to the mines. The director of 5Ds wrote that part of Arc 5. Oh, I can see that. The Shadowrun knows in the Philippines. That's crazy. You got turned into a card? No, they got sent to the mines, dude. It was like this underground shaft. Or maybe like a trash compactor. I can't remember. Point is, I remember Yuya crashing out in his hotel room and being like, what the fuck? My friends are gonna be stuck working for the rest of their lives. They have to have jobs.
Actually, while we're on that subject, that's another thing to add to 4Kids running tally. Like previous Yu-Gi-Oh series before, the dub for 5Ds completely replaces the original soundtrack, and that ends up changing the mood of scenes on a fundamental level. 5D's grungy, futuristic atmosphere is built off the back of its mix of nu metal and techno music, to the point you can't entirely separate them without losing something. Just take a listen.
Oh, the theme fucking slaps. This is fire.
For a series about card games being played on...
Okay, I'm sorry to pause again, but if I remember correctly, this is like a problem that happens across most 4Kids series. It's not just a Yu-Gi-Oh thing. And I believe it's like a licensing problem. I know this is a problem, especially in the Pokemon community. I know they get really mad about watching the dub because the original soundtrack from the anime in Japanese follows the games. But in the dub, they just have fucking random ass music. So yeah, I believe it's a licensing problem. That they can't get the audio from the music from the original anime. So that's why literally it's all 4Kids series. It's not specifically a Yu-Gi-Oh problem. Which sucks because a lot of the time the music slaps. Yeah, they don't have the rights to the music. There's a time I think Funimation tried to obtain a license for Yu-Gi-Oh dubbing. Yeah, I think you're right, because I think that was the dub where Johnny Young Bosch voiced Yuma. I think that's where it came from. Workers owning do go hard. True, spitting, they do. They cooked. They cook on like really cheesy anime openings. I'll give 4Kids that one. How is it modern Yu-Gi-Oh episodes too? Yeah, because I believe 4Kids still dubs modern Yu-Gi-Oh. It's just that Konami owns 4Kids now. And it's just not 4Kids anymore. But it's same idea. Do somebody in gas? True. Spitting. Yeah, 4Kids. No, I think 4Kids media doesn't even exist anymore. Wait, Johnny Young Bosch voiced in Yu-Gi-Oh? Okay. So, there was gonna be a dub of Zexal where Johnny Young Bosch voiced Yuma. There's a pilot or like clips of it floating around on YouTube. So if you want to go watch it, it does exist. It low-key, it does feel kind of weird hearing Johnny Young Bosch be Yuma. It's not bad. It's Johnny Young Bosch, right? So he sounds like Johnny Young Bosch. He sounds the same and everything. But he does sound really cool. So yeah, fun fact. I think it was Funimation that was gonna do it. Don't quote me. But for sure it was not 4Kids doing it. They exist, they're licensing holder company now. Yeah. Only hear Nero? I can see that. It was Funimation? Okay.
On motorcycles, the OST goes surprisingly hard, in a way that the series has never quite lived up to since. Tracks like Yusei and Jack's battle themes, or the Speed World theme, so perfectly complement the racing motif that 5Ds has with its duels, that it's a genuine downgrade losing it for the generic synth soundtrack that took its place. The dub makes up for it a bit with its new opening theme Hyperdrive,
a banger.
But the fact that Clear Mind Insert Song was removed from Shooting Star Dragon's first summoning is a war crime that some former 4Kids producer will answer for someday. I'll see you in hell, Michael Brady. Lastly, there's the fact that the run of 5D's English dub was cut 30 episodes short. Similar to GX a couple of years prior, 5D's entire last arc and the epilogue were never aired in English. So not only is there massive resolution issues with the main antagonists, but of the top 10 duels from this series, 6 never got localized and were completely missed by fans who never looked into the subbed version. So the one shining moment where Leo gets to be more than the annoying child side character, completely gone. The explanation for who Bruno is and why he's there, which leads to his life or death duel against Yusei, the one person he developed a mutual attachment to, never happens. For those who ever watched the
Bruno's
original
so hot.
series, imagine not
I'm sorry,
getting the latter half of the Battle City tournament or the duel between Yugi and Atem. Supposedly, this quick wrap-up was due to a legal dispute between 4Kids and TV Tokyo regarding some backdoor dealings the former was making, resulting in the Japanese broadcaster almost terminating their contracts altogether. Though 4Kids claims the
I think someone in chat mentioned this. You're right. I guess this is what caused the Funimation thing. It's all coming together. So I guess they're having a problem with TV Tokyo. They were beefing it out. So I guess at one point, Funimation swooped in and is like, can we make Yugioh? They made a pilot, and then it ended up going back to 4Kids anyway. I think the video randomly answered our question on accident. The more you know. That's crazy.
cuts had more to do with low TV ratings. Either way, this would explain why sizable chunks of the last season were axed, as 4Kids was racing to end it as fast as possible, and just cut anything that was seen as chaff, even if that chaff was vital plot points. Like I said, 5D's got it pretty bad. But as much as I can deride 4Kids dub for all the changes and general mistakes with how it handled 5Ds, it also has that undeniable 4Kids charm to the writing and delivery of lines that's super endearing to go back to.
Try harder next time.
Is that Joey Wheeler? No, man, it's his cousin Jesse Wheeler.
Greg Abbey just fits Yusei exceptionally well, nailing that blend of stoic strategist and hopeful optimist, even if 4Kids edits butchered the character's best moments. And they made Jack Atlas a Cockney Brit. How can you not love that?
It's so cool.
Delivery! I don't think so. I ordered the Kung Pao chicken with a side of soup.
You nincompoop! That's our store delivery, not your lunch. Beat it!
That's why, despite everything I say going forward being in reference to the original Japanese version, I'm going to primarily rely on the English names and terms, since that's what I was raised on. And let's be real, D-Wheel just doesn't have the same ring that Dual Runner has.
I'm not gonna lie, he's kind of spitting, he's right. Like, I know people are really attached to the original Japanese nicknames of things, but I ain't gonna lie to you, a lot of the times I think the English names are better. Like, Dual Runner's so much cooler. Dual Runner's fucking peak. And a lot of the localization names are much better. Oh, Penumbral, thank you for the raid. Welcome, Raiders. Hi, I'm Nova, and I play card games. Today we're watching the peak of Yu-Gi-Oh! How was your stream? Oh my god, wait, you were clubbing with your Oshibri! How was it? They call it Dual Runner? Yeah, in English they call it Dual Runner. I think, to be fair, I think what throws me off of D-Wheel is like the way they say it in Japanese sounds like the wheel. It reminds me of like doing a cool whip. Only Jack's bike was a D wheel, so there's a big wheel. True. Dual is dual runner. Can duals even drive?
Which nicely brings me back around from that earlier detour into 5D's own world building. As I already mentioned, an extremely ever-present theme early on in 5Ds is classism and discrimination, as it is riddled throughout its world building.
Oh, boy,
the main setting for the series is split across two areas. First, you have New Domino City, a functional utopia where the well-off citizens go to stadiums to watch duels transformed into the Talladega, and turbo duelists perform for their ravenous fans.
Show us a butthole or something! What are we doing?
What? What?
Absolutely cutthroat. And then there's the Satellite, a slum island off the coast of the city, rife with urban decay.
Was that from the Abridged series? I'm a GX fanboy, I'm sorry. No, it's very base. I am also a GX fanboy. That's so real. That's the Abridged series. I've never seen the Abridged series. So I feel like a lot of these references are just going over my head. I don't know anything. Yeah, I've never seen it. Like, I feel like everyone has such nostalgia for the Abridged series, but I've never seen it. The only Abridged series I've watched were the ones from, like, Team 4-Star. Everything else, I have no fucking clue. What did you see? I thought about doing a react to it, but apparently there's a lot of copyrighted stuff in there, and I don't want the VOD to get giga nuked.
Where the poor and criminals are left to waste away with zero established ways to move up to New Domino, with the only thing connecting the two being a pipeline for the city to send over its garbage. Whether you're born there or a criminal that was kicked out of the city and left to rot, you are satellite scum for the rest of your life, only meant to recycle and process trash being fed in from New Domino. Technically, the satellite has only existed for approximately 17 years by the start of the series, when a new NRD reactor, the D stands for dueling, went critical, causing the area to break off from New Domino. But that hasn't stopped those from the satellite being treated with the same public disdain as someone announcing their new investment in NFTs. Immediately, the series establishes this contrast in its setting with the dichotomy of our two main protagonists, Yusei Fudo and Jack Atlas. While Jack is living high in New Domino City as the reigning king of turbo duels, cheered on by adoring fans and signing movie deals, Yusei is left in the satellite, salvaging enough scraps to put together a working dual runner that can get him out of there before he's caught by sector security. And it's this contrast that's the initial driving force of the story. Years ago, Jack stole Yusei's Stardust Dragon and first dual runner back when they were friends so that he could get into New Domino, and now Yusei has to work his way up to the city to even things out. But that's more complicated than it initially sounds. And here's where we get into the deeper stuff with 5Ds. You see, in a world where card games are the center of everything, even being included in the school curriculum, those in the satellite are completely limited from any opportunities a good deck could provide for them by the very nature that cards aren't easily accessible there. Without things like card shops around or the finances to purchase them, those stuck on the island are left to scrounge for what few cards they can find in this near lawless wasteland, like Yu-Gi-Oh players doing trades at locals. This can be as simple as sorting through New Domino's trash for cards someone tossed out, to outright mugging others for theirs, making a usable deck an extremely precious resource. While it seems like these are ultimately minor details in a story where all the characters have perfectly put together decks, it actually goes far to explain the sheer emotional attachment those from the satellite have with their cards. Yusei's belief that there are no useless cards doesn't come from the same idealistic sentimentality that previous protagonists have.
The one Crow found the best archetype of the time. Yeah, dude. Isn't it that the reason why Crow stayed around so long in the anime was because Black Wings were so popular? That's crazy to think that Crow was just casually walking around looking at trash and goes, ooh, a meta deck? Don't mind if I do! And just fucking took it. Yeah, we had fucking DD Crow. Just, yeah, a casual hand trap that'll stay around for like 20 more years. Awesome! This is great for me. Yeah, real. Who fucking threw away Black Wings in like 2008? Are you crazy? That's a myth, I'm pretty sure. I can see that happening, to be honest. No one liked birds, but they were so cool. Girls supposed to be died in dark side of anger, but because Black Wings are so popular in Japan, they kept them alive. They didn't read Blackwing Whirlwind. Crows are RPG tracking that cash out $50 in trash cans. Yeah, just casually finds like straight up cash. That's crazy. Shout out to Chaz, who also scouting a deck from the bottom of a well. Yeah, it's my fucking goat. That's my goat. That's kind of a myth. We don't really know why he became a guy who took Leo's place. He doesn't have a license. Well, yeah, cause it took till like what, season 2 for like dual runners become like legal. Because he was printing junk synchro was massively meta. Real. There's a character shown later that threw away Trishula, which is the strongest thing. What? Someone threw away Trishula? That's crazy. Chaz gonna be level drama so much because Chaz is the fucking goat.
But from someone who spent years building their deck from cards others thought weren't worth keeping. Hence the extra meaning behind his archetype of choice actually being junk. Monsters that are designed as weak on their own until they're pieced together effectively. His deck might be made up of cards others tossed out that he was able to scrape together, but it's incredibly sentimental to him, which is understandable in a place like the Satellite, where the way many orphans are left to learn their reading and arithmetic is from the cards they've found in the trash, ignoring the implication that any Yu-Gi-Oh player actually reads their cards. But even if someone can scrounge up a decent deck, dual runners are something else entirely. Bro duels may have become a pastime for the citizens of New Domino, but runners are effectively non-existent in the Satellite. At best, only glimpsed through televised matches from the stadium on the few working TVs left lying around. Yusei is one of the few shown to own a runner because he was able to put it together himself, with scraps lying around the Satellite, and the personal know-how he developed over years of trial and error working with auto mechanics. Hence why Jack stealing the first one they built together was such a betrayal. It's not exactly like he can call up his insurance about it. If not to underline the irony of all of this, dual runners are the only way shown that people are able to leave the Satellite and escape to New Domino, meaning they both diametrically represent privilege and freedom. Oh, but just in case the veiled messaging of all this was too subtle, on top of it all, everything from decks to dual runners in Satellite are actively suppressed by sector security. Wouldn't want the riffraff getting any ideas. Sector security do their patrols through the island less to protect and serve, but to make sure those in Satellite stay in Satellite, resulting in the citizens forming their own dual gangs as a form of self-protection. And that eventually escalates to
not team satisfaction. Okay. I think team satisfaction, their outfits are so ugly. I couldn't take it seriously. I couldn't take the whole team satisfaction arc seriously at all. Because like they look so fucking ugly. Why did they look like that? Why the fuck did they wear those ugly ass vests? Sleeveless Yusei though, it was awful. They're poor. They can afford jackets. What the the dub names enforcers? I forgot. They couldn't afford sleeves? Nah, they can definitely get jackets. The vests were like a specific choice. That was a specific choice. They chose those ugly ass vests. Team Nickelback was already taken. No, they live in the slums. They can't afford McChickens. There's no stores in the slums? Yeah, but like regardless, they could have gotten jackets. Where could they get jackets? I don't know where the fuck they got this ugly ass vest from. Yeah, wherever they got those fucking ugly ass vests from, they could have gotten jackets. Can't believe Noah's making fun of the poor. That's crazy. They don't have enough money for chicken nuggets. Yeah, they can get like jackets of the trash. They don't need to wear these ugly ass vests. Come on, they can do better than this. Can't believe my goat is poor shaming. I'm not poor shaming, but I'm saying they could have worn better jackets than what the fuck the vest they're wearing for team satisfaction. I bet you Chrome made them because he's the one who wears them. True! Dude, now that you mention it, I wouldn't be surprised if Crow was like, hey guys, look at these cool vests. And I was like, okay, yeah, let's wear them. And everyone was like, okay, you know what? These are kind of ugly. We should not wear this anymore. But like, Crow still wore it.
Like I've been saying, it's a rough area. And for those caught breaking the law in Satellite or New Domino, like stealing back cards from Sector Security or playing an Eldritch deck, they're taken to the facility, where they're painfully branded with face tattoos that both act as a tracking chip and a permanent marker of someone's criminal past, even after they've served their time in prison. So those facial markings aren't simply a way to give a bit of visual flair to the character's design. It's an in-world tagging system for prisoners that publicly marks them as a criminal for life. And I hope I don't have to explain why that's a tad fucked up. Through its multiple systems, from a lack of a proper education system to hostile law enforcement, those of Satellite are made to be systematically trapped there with no way out. In fact, the sole reason Yusei is allowed into New Domino to participate in the huge Fortune Cup being held is that Rex Goodwin, the director of the city, suspects that he's a signer, one of the 5 predestined heroes intended to save the world. If it wasn't for that, Yusei would still be getting electroshock treatment in the facility after initially getting caught.
What? No, what do you mean? Yusei right there is a sidekick. He's generating it with his mind. He's not in pain. What are you talking about? that look right there is him being happy. He's having an awesome time. Yeah, Yusei's that face right there, he's having an amazing time. He's generating so much energy. He's such a good psychic. He's just a little freaky. Yeah, literally. He's synchro summoning with his mind. It's green because Stardust is wind.
Still be getting electroshock treatment in the facility after initially getting caught by Sector Security, escaping into New Domino to settle his score with Jack. Thank the Crimson Dragon for main character privileges. What makes this all even more insidious is when it's revealed that this segregated hierarchy is largely manufactured by Goodwin himself, who admits that the Zero Reverse event that originally separated Satellite from the mainland also freed the Earthbound Immortals, ancient evil deities heralding the King of the Netherworld, thus making Satellite the future battleground for their 5,000-year war against the Crimson Dragon's signers. If the people of the Satellite were allowed to migrate over, that would simply move the battleground to New Domino, as the Earthbound Immortals require a massive amount of souls to manifest. So Goodwin's solution was just to isolate everything to that one area through systematic discrimination and dehumanization.
You know, girly
A
things.
very, let's say, utilitarian approach intended to limit casualties by effectively making the citizens of Satellite resources for a proxy war they didn't agree to be part of. Because fuck the poor? And the funny thing is that this doesn't change the fact that the Earthbound immortals still make their way into New Domino regardless, making the multiple layers of oppression ultimately redundant, because existential horrors don't discriminate. Huh, you think the writers were trying to say something about the futility of classism or something? This is what I meant when I said 5Ds had so much going on beyond the motorbikes. By so firmly rooting its story in a world of haves and have-nots.
What? 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 Why'd you Nova? What happened? Did I miss something? Oh, okay.
And how that environment affects the character's place within it, 5Ds creates a world that isn't just grim, but layered. This isn't just good by Yu-Gi-Oh standards, this is marvelous world building, period. And totally not reflective of real world issues. That'd be crazy. I haven't even gotten into the characters proper yet because the setting is such an integral part of understanding the story being told, using these grittier yet grounded social issues as a way to frame its characters, rather than just some set dressing. But now that we've set the stage, let's get to the actors involved. Looking at the cast of 5Ds, you'd be forgiven for thinking it's simply exporting characters from its previous series. You got main character with a Jersey Shore salon worth of hair gel on their head, the rival who has a lot of specific art with the MC,
oh my
the chill best
God!
friend, the girl love interest, the child prodigy who never actually does much, and Leo. But I think what makes 5...
Is he doing my goat like that? You cannot just be like, oh, and that's Leo, that's my goat. Get out of here, that's my little guy. You cannot do my goat that way. You cannot shade my goat like that. You cannot. That's my little goober. That's my little guy. Leo does nothing. I don't care. He's my little goober. He's my little guy. Okay, leave him alone. He's a baby. Mokuba approximately less smart. Mokuba's also my favorite character. Leave me alone. He's a little guy on his birthday. Yeah, he's a little birthday boy. Leo is Leo just saying, leave him alone. Both turned him to be clowned on? No, that's my little guy. Dub Leo got nothing, period. It's not, okay, listen. It's not his fault that 4 kids said die. Lua would be an iPad kid? I can see that. I feel like he would love an iPad. He would love Coco Melon. How is Mokuba your favorite? To be fair, it stems from Season 0 Mokuba, and Season 0 Mokuba's a fucking little shitter. He was there for crimes.
5D's characters stand out is actually the level of maturity with how they're handled. Whether it's Crow acting as the big brother to a group of orphans in the satellite, or Yusei's deep-seated guilt that his father's NRD reactor melting down is the reason his childhood friends were orphans, there's a subtle nuance to the characters that makes them feel fleshed out beyond their archetypes. And I don't think any better reflect this than Jack Atlas and Akiza. Now, as much as I adore Seto Kaiba and his petty rich kid antics, I'd argue Jack Atlas actually edges him out as the better rival character, at least from a writing perspective.
I'll give him
From
that.
living as an orphan growing up to spending years trying to survive the cutthroat streets of Satellite, you get a clear picture of why Jack would have this massive chip on his shoulder about wanting to prove that he's the best. Like, if I lived as a second-class citizen where I was viewed as scum by the upper class as they sent me their trash to recycle, I'd probably develop an inferiority complex and feel the need to prove myself too. With all that accounted for, it's easy to understand why, when Rex Goodwin reached out to help him get into New Domino and make him into the king he always imagined himself as, Jack jumped on the opportunity, even if it meant stealing his best friend's card and dual runner to do so. Once in the city, his ego was then consistently inflated as he was marketed as the king of turbo duels to the public, Goodwin manufacturing a backstory where he was raised in the tops of New Domino in order to guarantee that he's accepted by the fans, as there's no way he'd be accepted as a valid champion if they actually knew where he came from. And that's what makes his fall from grace that much harder when he inevitably loses to Yusei at the Fortune Cup. Having lost his title in front of the masses and his true origins as a satellite citizen made public, Jack is utterly humiliated. Largely dismissed by his former fans, he's then left to re-examine everything he gave up in pursuit of being king, as he looks across the waters to his former home that he left behind. For all his boasting about being the master of faster over the years, he couldn't back it up when it mattered, forcing him all the way back to square one. And that's why—
And it's okay. To pause on this, it's all because of my goat, Carly. I'm sorry. Like, Carly made Jack a million times better, and I refuse to hear otherwise. The yeah was formed? No, he's dating my girl Carly. They're in love. Get out of here. Yeah, Carly is the GOAT. Carly is the GOAT. She fixed him. She literally did. She literally fixed him. They did her so dirty. Carly is the GOAT. Thank you. Carly is the GOAT. She's not gonna fix it when she did. She literally did. She literally did. Not just season one, they are. No. They're dating. They're dating. They're in love. They're in love. Get out of here. Yeah, like, not gonna lie. Don't get me wrong. So far, this analysis has been pretty good. I get where he's coming from. He's not giving my girl Carly her flowers. She helped make Jack who he is. She picked that fucker up and fixed him. Not giving my girl her flowers. She deserves them. Jack gets a sooner in every scene after Dark Center is true. My kids that are married have 5 kids. I'll give them that. You're so real. They kept their love in Duel Links? Yeah! Jack is Carly's bottom for sure. So real. Saying no boyfriends is crazy? No, because Jack and Carly's so good. It's because Jack and Carly's so good. Vision Resonator's Carly, so Jack is a monster of her? Is it really? Do you think Carly keeps the Dark Center alpha in the closet? I think so. Yeah, Carly helped Jack so much when he lost his title. Literally! Like, she helped him! Why are you not bringing up Michael? Actually, I should not judge him for his take. We should hear first. Maybe he brings her up. Hold on.
Jack is a great rival character. Not just because he's a pompous snob dead set on taking Yusei down a peg, but because he threw away everything to prove that he's the best, and learned the hard way that it wasn't worth it. And then there's Akiza. Now, Akiza's an interesting character within this franchise. She isn't an antagonistic rival that grudgingly gets swayed to the protagonist's side. She isn't a cheerleader with no actual dueling ability. Akiza is a girl with deep-seated trauma due to her psychic powers that she can't fully control. And after feeling rejected by even her own parents' fear of her abilities, she's adopted by the Arcadia movement, an organization of psychic duelists. And like any good cult, takes advantage of an emotionally vulnerable person looking for a place to belong. By the time Akiza's introduced in the story, she's fully committed to a Black Rose Witch persona as a coping mechanism for the constant rejection.
It's my mental illness and she's the coping mechanism. That's crazy. Why Duelist pick her as his model? Okay, to give you Duologues lore, fun fact, Duologues has never fully watched Yu-Gi-Oh! 5Ds. The reason why Akiza was his icon for a long time was 100% a branding thing. It's because he knew that people really liked Akiza. That people liked her a lot. So that, like, they would be more enticed to want to, like, watch or, like, what's it called? Engage with his content because of Akiza being there. It was a clout play. He read me like a book that's 100% sure. Literally, yeah, he knew. It worked on me. He literally played the game and won. He doesn't like her. Something doesn't like her. I don't think he likes 5Ds very much. He watched like a few episodes from what I remember. I made him watch it. Like, I literally made Dulox watch it because he had Akiza's icon for so long, but never watched it. He was doing 4D chess clickbait. Literally. I just thought he likes Rose Girls because he likes Rosemi. No, those are separate things. But yeah, fun fact. That's the reason why Ikizo was his icon for a long time. The more you know. Also, may I just say, it's also kind of weird the fact that Aki's name in English is Akiza. It's like Asian sounding, but why not just make it Aki? I don't know. I think he does a bit of Crusher though. I feel Rosy Obsession ain't random. On Akiza? I don't know. He probably thinks Akiza's hot. Yeah, it's a Forkis moment. Akiza, I don't think Akiza sounds bad. It's just like, what was the point of changing it? If, like, to make it to sound like another Asian name, if it could just be Aki. What the fuck? Actually, now that I think about it, did they change Aki's last name in English? Is Isayoi in JP, right? They did. What was her English last name? Izinski? Get the fuck out of here! Akiza Izinski's crazy! They made her Russian! I thought it was Aki Rose with the Spanish dub. It might be. They made her Polish? That's crazy. Aki born in Poland. Yeah, Aki Izayoi sounds better. Anyway.
She's had to endure due to her abilities, which is only then reinforced when she's repeatedly booed and antagonized at the Fortune Cup, causing her to further retreat into her witch persona and the Arcadia movement. So one of the many questions the audience is left with by the end of the first tournament is, will Akiza be able to escape this cycle of rejection and reclusion that she's trapped in? I could honestly do this for every one of the main characters, but I think this gets my point across. What's great about 5Ds is how surprisingly character-driven it is early on. There's depths of fear, trauma, remorse, and frustration to this cast that you might not expect at first glance that humanizes each one of them. While the story starts out centered around Yusei and Jack's personal beef, that's simply used as a jumping-off point as each signer is established and the scope of the world is widened, eventually pulling them into the fight with the Dark Signers. And if you think this level of character writing is exclusive to the protagonists, well, you don't know why I'm doing this video. Now, up to this point, Yu-Gi-Oh! Has had a lengthy history of villains. Maximilian Pegasus, American is Rare Hunters, Yami Bakura, Yubel, the Society of Light, the entire card-selling market, the list goes on. But what makes the Darksigners compelling villains in their own right is that for the most part, they honestly aren't really villains. They aren't made to be cartoonish baddies with evil motives purely for the sake of world domination. At least deep down. These are characters that have understandable motives who died with regrets and anger in their heart, turned by the Earthbound Immortals so that they can seek their vengeance while acting as the gods' vessels. Except for Devik. I don't know how Devik got through the screening process. To quickly run down the list, you have Geiger, whose entire village was wiped out by Goodwin's experiments, and is hung by Goodwin's brother after he fails to impale Rex at the Fortune Cup with a giant spike. Misty lost her brother to the Arcadia Movement's experiments before she drove off a cliff. Carly was a reporter killed by the Arcadia Movement after she found out too much.
Rest in peace, my goat.
And Kellen was the old leader of Yusei, Crow, and Jack's duel gang, until he took his goals of unifying Satellite too far, and
went a little crazy.
Leaving him to slowly rot in the facility where he was beaten and starved. These aren't black and white motivations, but characters whose genuine griefs and struggles were manipulated into something evil by darker forces.
But how did her brother die? He was making the lightning on purpose! That's crazy! Also, I low-key want to laugh every single time he shows the clip of Kiryu and, like, you say, like, or else he goes, It's so funny. It's so hard not to laugh every time.
Forces in their final moments, making their duels against the Signers that much more involving, because for most of them, there's history there. What I think is most interesting about the Darksigners as antagonists isn't just that they're twisted innocents, but that along with their own respective issues, their matches are also used to force the Signers to face their own past mistakes. Akiza might not have killed Misty's brother like she was led to believe, but she did cause plenty of damage as the Black Rose Witch in the past. Yusei didn't rat out Cal into Sector Security, but is there more he could have done to save him before he took things too far? And has Jack truly changed for the better, or is it simply because he's no longer king that he's had this change of heart? By making them face off against representations of their past, the Signers are equally tempted to fall back into their worst emotions or fears, making the Darksigners very real tests of their growth as characters. And ultimately, that's what makes a good antagonist. This entire arc, outside of the whole ancient battle for the fate of the world thing, is about how fixing things in the now requires acknowledging the mistakes of the past and reconciling with them, while also being about how larger powers are what ultimately pushes otherwise good people against each other.
Also, by the way, Misty's brother Dub is implied to still be alive in a different secret facility still being experimented on. What? Is that what the conclusion was at the end in Dub? That he wasn't dead? To be like, oh, he was just missing. He's fine. That's crazy. I can't remember. Does Misty think that her brother's dead in the Dub? He's still making lightning in the dub. He's still generating lightning in the dub. That's crazy. Yeah, I think unironically that might be worse than him being dead. Instead of him being dead, he's just being tortured elsewhere. Like he's still suffering, just somewhere else. Some say he's still powering New Domino to this day. He's a range. He's a human Duracell battery. Torture? Nah, he's shooting lightning. He's Gucci. That's crazy. Wait, does Missy not search for him? Does she just let him be fucking tortured forever? That's awful. He made Battery Man? Clean energy achieved? Question? Now she left for France? She abandoned her brother? I'm sorry, she made this huge ass deal about her brother being missing, but when she found out he's being tortured in a different facility, she goes, nah, I'm good, time to fuck off to France. What the fuck? Oh my god, I'm like crying. Didn't Forkis they not think for 3 seconds like what the hell that means? Vive la croissant! Missy off playing Tools of the Roses! That's crazy!
And is doing all this as characters are fighting against the literal manifestations of gods being summoned by the souls of innocence. How cool is that? I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Has touched on morally complex villains in the past, but the scale and emotional depth between all the characters in 5Ds takes it all to a whole new level. And that's why it feels like the series wasn't planned to go past the Dark Signers. By the end of episode 64, all the characters' arcs have more or less been completed, all the mysteries are effectively wrapped up, and the protagonists are left to ride off into the sunset on the new bridge that finally connects Satellite to New Domino now that the Earthbound Immortals are no longer a threat. Frankly, it feels like there's not much left to dig into from here. But we also have 90 episodes remaining. So how did they follow all this up? Now, if you pay attention to discussions surrounding the show online, you might get the impression that everything past the Dark Signer arc is hot garbage on a summer day in Satellite, depending on who you talk to. But it's not quite that drop that you see in some other series. In fact, many of the best duels and moments are in 5D's latter half. It's more that the series never quite reaches that consistent high that it did with the Fortune Cup Dark Signer storyline.
Will the VOD be saved to post it anywhere? Yeah, literally, once the stream ends, the VOD gets saved with YouTube. So don't worry, it'll be here.
Which is just as frustrating in a way, because it easily could have, if not surpassed it. Put in weeb terms, this is 5D's Boo Saga, where it had so much potential going in that it never fully realized, so most conversations around it eventually delve into the mistakes that were made and how it could have been improved. Which is exactly what we're going to be doing. To start, the very opening of 5D's next arc instantly fumbles the ball when Yusei explains how in the 6 months following the fight against the Dark Signers and the new Daedalus Bridge being constructed, all tensions between the citizens of Satellite and New Domino City has been completely resolved, and everyone is finally at peace. Because if modern history has taught us anything, it's that tensions between two groups separated by years of classism, discrimination, and systematic segregation can totally be mended in a half year. Build bridges, not walls. To be clear, I'm not against the idea of things being actively improved.
Within only 6 months? Yeah, the gap between like season 1 season 2 is not very long. Yeah, I don't know. I feel like, again, I personally feel like it should have ended after the Dark Signer arc, but that's just me.
With the amount of depressing dystopias that wallow in suffering, it's honestly great to see 5D's setting shift to how people can come together to find common ground.
Friends, yeah, true. That's another problem I have with 5Ds, is that they set up like Yusei having these like satellite friends. Like, what the fuck was the little one that I thought was a girl but was not a girl? That was just season 1, yeah. So Dark Signer arc is basically season 1. Rally, yeah, like Rally and all like Yusei's friends, they get sidelined they get sidelined really quickly. Like, they don't do anything after like 10 episodes into season 2 or season 1. Is that a girl? No, Riley's a boy. Riley's a boy. She's not a girl. No, Riley's a boy. I was shocked too. My little femboy, that's crazy. Really? Yeah, Riley's a boy. Hold on, let me see if I can find the wiki. Hold on. See, here we go. Riley, Yugioh. Let me see. Will the wiki tell me? Riley Dawson. Here we go. Got it. Yep, Riley Dawson, gender male. Only a female in the Latin American Tagalog dubs. But yes, Riley's a guy. It reminds me of the Kurama in like Yu Yu Hakusho. How like in the Latin American dub they thought no, it wasn't Latin American. It was the Tagalog dub of Yu Yu Hakusho. They gave them all new names, right? And what's it called? Kurama's name was originally Denise, but then they realized that Kurama's a boy, and then made it Dennis. He was forced fed into a Latino. That's crazy. Yeah. Yeah, it went from Denise to Dennis in the Tagalog dub of Yu Yu Hakusho. How I see season 1 is a reflection of reality we can understand and fix our mistakes. Season 2 is a reflection of the hope of society we can finally love past, not perfection. But in the Brazilian dub, Duelist Kingdom, Bakura was treated as a girl until that's crazy. That's crazy. How do they look at Kurama and say, yeah, that's Dennis right there? We kind of have Yoko Dennis. That's right, in the Greek dub of One Piece, Luffy's was renamed to Drake? That's funny. I love when they rename an anime. It's so silly.
Once those divisions are dissolved and the ruling class are violently removed from power, working as a follow-up to the previous arc's underlying narrative about making amends for past mistakes. There didn't need to be a 12-point plan for urban revitalization established to fix these deeply systemic issues from the card game motorcycle anime. But considering all the stories that could have been told within this setting shift, just for everything to happen off-screen in the time it takes me to complete a video is far less compelling than actually seeing the moment-to-moment beats and hurdles of the world changing. For example, it makes sense that the main characters are given special treatment as famous duelists that save the city, but then the next step would be showing how average citizens from Satellite reintegrate into this population that once viewed them as human garbage, now that they can move freely within New Domino. Officer Trudge has a whole mini character arc in the previous season dedicated to him realizing the mistakes he made, criminalizing those that lived in the Satellite, when they were simply trying to survive with the bad hand they were dealt. But what about the rest of Sector Security that were effectively trained to oppress the citizens there? Did they just get a training video to go over? There's just so much more that could have been explored here, but it really feels like one of the most engaging aspects of 5D's world building was tossed aside for seemingly no reason other than it was getting too heavy. It's not as if it was resolved in a huge, meaningful way that leaves some questions to be filled through Tumblr headcanons. The writers just went, I'm done playing with this toy. And it's not like they were in a rush and didn't have time to delve into these subjects either. A major point of contention with the preceding arcs is that it starts off with a stretch of inane fluff episodes as the new main thread is established. But rather than using that time to effectively examine the new relationship between Satellite and New Domino City, which feels like such a freebie from a writer's perspective, considering the main cast have now moved into the city and are living out of a garage. Instead, we get episodes about Leo investigating a haunted house in the forest, and Crow helping their landlady connect with her estranged son. Don't get me wrong, some of these episodes are still enjoyable. Callan's search for a meaningful death in Crash Town after recovering from his time as a dark signer being an extremely notable highlight. But as a whole, these characters aren't being used to their best effect.
Wait, why the wait, run the back, run the back.
But as a
Why the fuck does Crow look like that? Do you see that? Why the fuck does he look like that? Did he mention Team Satisfaction? He talked about Team Satisfaction, but never like mentioned by name the other Team Satisfaction. He became a bird. That's budget right there. That's budget. But yeah, so what, Bonds Beyond Time? Oh, true, I forgot Bonds Beyond Time was around this time, right? I don't know why in my brain I always assume that Bonds Beyond Time is like way after 5Ds. But yeah, I guess it was happening during the middle of it, huh? He's now legally a bird.
a whole, these characters aren't being used to their best effect here. What makes this especially frustrating is that the struggle of getting to this unified utopia would have worked beautifully with the central theme of 5D's second half, which focuses on fighting for one's future, in a very literal sense. Rather than starting on everything being fixed now and protecting it, having a dynamic where the signers have to both prove a better future as possible while actively demonstrating in the present would have blended together so perfectly that it's a little infuriating that isn't the angle the writers took. Now, as fandoms are wont to do, there's a slew of rumors floating around online to explain the sudden shift between 5D's two halves that are likely riddled throughout the comments already. Many of which that have the founding of a random 4chan post and don't hold up to a moment of actual research. Like how Crow was supposedly planned to be the secret final boss of the Darksigners, but ended up taking Leo's place as a signer instead because his Blackwing deck became popular in the real-life meta. Despite the fact it doesn't line up with the production timeline, and the popularity of a character's deck has never once influenced their prominence in the series.
You got it.
In actuality, the likely explanation is a lot simpler. Along with Kazuki Takahashi becoming even less involved with the creative side after the Dark Signer arc, the lead writer for the series, Atsuhiro Tomioka, left shortly after the Fortune Cup arc, leaving Shin Yoshida to take over what they'd set up, as well as creating a new storyline for what comes after the Darksigners. It's nothing more insidious than two writers having opposing ideas they'd rather emphasize within a single series, resulting in contradicting approaches to some of the characters, along with a shift to a more plot-driven story. Konami wasn't attempting a psyop to trick you into buying more Blackwing cards, it's just a writer who felt Crow worked better as a signer than Leo. But let's put a pin in that for now. Also, with the change in lead writers, it's worth noting that 5Ds was being made at the same time as the 10th anniversary film. The reason why this is notable is that the studio that produced every Yu-Gi-Oh series up until 7's, isn't particularly large. So it's easy to imagine having to juggle both a long-running series and a feature film could lead to the staff being jumbled around trying to manage both at the same time without clear ideas to follow through with, resulting in storylines getting set up with no planned payoff and less fleshed out direction in the character writing. At least,
never forget the DS game showed the Heart Signer mark long before Leo got it. Really? That's crazy. I'm not surprised, though, to be fair, with these like random ass DS games. Sure, anyone thinks Leo is good, no matter wrong. What? Leo's my little guy! Leave him alone!
compared to the previous 60 episodes. But this isn't Yu-Gi-Oh! Theory, so let's get back to what's actually here. You put a Yu-Gi-Oh! Writers back into a corner, and their immediate response is to start drafting a tournament arc to get out. So with the Dark Signer issue resolved and no lingering plot threads remaining, the immediate segue into the next storyline is the World Grand Prix tournament. 5Ds is basically a tournament arc sandwich, where it starts with one and ends with one, with a short finale as a topper depending on what region you're in. At its core, the World Grand Prix is a simple framing device to prop up the larger plot of time-traveling cyborgs sent to fix the past that will be acting as the main threat for the next 80 episodes, which isn't bad on paper. Nearly every Yu-Gi-Oh! Series has some form of tournament mixed with world-ending schemes or cults, because the format blends well with how do we find an excuse for the protagonists and villains to play a children's card game for the fate of the world. Hell, this is 5D's second one. Tournaments are just a perfect setup to highlight different characters' personalities and playstyles with how they're matched up together, something that's pretty vital for a series built around cards. But even within the larger Yu-Gi-Oh! Universe, the World Grand Prix stands on its own. Compared to the previous Turbo Duel format established, the Grand Prix uses teams of 3, with matches set up using a survival format where teams alternate through members as their life points get depleted, leaving whatever cards are on the field when they lose for the next person to follow. The new Speed World 2 field spell also replaces the original, adding in the ability to use speed counters for different effects depending on how many are used. Though this comes at the cost of the rule where taking over 1,000 points of damage loses the player's speed and counters, thus shifting the focus from maintaining speed in favor of managing resources between teammates. Honestly, I really like this format. It has a distinct pacing from even tag duels, emphasizing planning out the long game since cards and counters on the field carry over between duelists, making matches just as much about team-based strategies as the individual duels. It's not just the 3 starring players either, since the tournament is designed around teams acting as their own pit crew. There's the extra detail where they can relay brief messages to the current person in the match as they pass by, allowing communication between team members in a limited capacity for strategizing. It's a format that attempts to make use of all players involved. Keyword being attempts, but we'll get to that. Plus, the WGP tournament provides 2 of the most standout duels from this series. Team 5D's match with Team Teo, followed by their match with Team Ragnarok. Now, if Pro, Jack, and Yusei are the scrappy underdogs that rose up the ranks from the slums, Team Teo are what they'd be if they didn't have their magic signer powers. 3 poor farmers from the sticks who've scrapped together enough trash Duelist Kingdom era normal monsters to build a deck in hopes of joining the tournament. They have to share a single, barely functioning duel runner between them, and are initially booed by the audience for their constant stall tactics being boring to watch, until their long-term strategy is revealed and the crowd immediately changes their tune. You couldn't make them more of an underdog without giving them a sick puppy as a mascot. But that's what makes Team Teo so endearing to watch as they fight their hardest against teams with far- far superior decks and runners, solely for the purpose of seeing how far a few country bumpkins can go if they tried. They're just some
leave my horse run alone.
Even if 4 kids didn't feel they were worth including. Then on the complete opposite side of the narrative parallels is Team Ragnarok, who are clearly meant to contrast where the signers are now, coming into the tournament ready to use their own Norse god-given powers to save the day from the looming threat facing the city. With Team Teo reflecting 5D's humble origins, Ragnarok swings in the opposite direction by having characters with similar bullshit magic backing them, so the characters have to prove they're the better heroes for the job if they want to keep their protagonist privileges. And it's got the insane spectacle of having to fight the literal Norse gods of mythology to do it. Between these 2 teams, there's a poetic reflection of how far Team 5Ds have come throughout the series. It's almost like there's this motif going on related to surpassing one's own limits or something. However, this arc has one fatal flaw that gives it the stability of a Blue Eyes player going up against a deck that requires actual strategy to use. And ironically, it's the World Grand Prix format itself. You see, as much as I can praise the concept for its clever ideas and hype moments, the new format is a bit of a double-edged sword, where it's hurting nearly as much as helping. With the tournament being built around 3v3 matches, each round of the bracket ends up lasting for a minimum of...
Yeah, especially... Well, now Blue Eyes actually it's a strategy now. How old is it? Like a year ago? 3 years ago. Yeah, definitely Blue Eyes has changed quite a bit since then. But I will say, this is interesting to watch because this is around the part that I stopped watching 5Ds. So, like, I don't know anything from here. Like, I remember like, I got to the WGP, but like, these like iconic matches, I have not seen them. I have no fucking clue. Why do Blue have to catch strays? Well, because Blue Eyes generally is like a bricky deck. It's usually pretty bad. Now it's not, but it was. Yeah, I watched Crashdown. Yeah. To give you context of where I am, I think I'm literally, the next episode I'm supposed to watch is where Clear Mind is. And that's where I'm at. It still breaks, not nearly as bad as it once did, though. I got through the Dark Center arc and stopped. That's pretty fair. Clear Mind goes so hard. I've seen the Clear Mind like duel before. I'm not gonna lie. I think the song Clear Mind's mid. The song is just okay.
4 episodes, which is a fine length for your big cinematic showdowns, but not for competing against random jobbers in the preliminaries that never show up again. Team 5Ds only duels 5 other teams throughout the tournament, but added up, that's approximately dedicated episodes, leaving 0 time for any other teams to have their own matches. Making you wonder why they went with a tournament format to begin with if that's how it would be paced out.
How dare you? I don't know, man. The song's just okay. Like, there are better, like, don't get me wrong. I think the music in 5Ds is like peak. Every song in 5Ds generally fucking goated. Like, I've been listening to, what's it called? The 4th ending, like, all day today for 5Ds. That song fucking slaps. Close to You, banger. Bars. Straight bars. But I think Clear Mind's just alright. Yeah, it's not getting your game on. Or Last Train, fire. Banger. Believe in Nexus, also a banger. Like, there's a lot of really good songs in 5Ds. I ain't gonna say it all sucks. A lot of it's really good. I just think that Clear Mind's just like whatever. Hyperdrive, also a banger. I just think Clear Mind's just okay. Just whatever. I think it's overhyped. Controversial opinion, Hyperdrive over Get Your Game On? You know what? I'll give you that. I'll give you that Hyperdrive is better than Get Your Game On. People get pigeonholed like being Clear Mind, truth about listen to the soundtrack. True! There's the OST so good. Jackson uses theme, I'll give you that one too. I mean, a mid banger, just mid. It's just like, yeah, it's just like whatever. Clear Mind's just alright. It's not like my favorite song I've ever heard. It's fine.
In other series, some of the best duels are minor characters facing off against each other, completely removed from the main protagonist, thus adding to the suspense and anticipation on who will face who as you go down the brackets. The Battle City finals are a perfect example of this. Same goes for the Fortune Cup. But when it comes to the World Grand Prix, since we only have time to show the duels involving Team 5Ds with how long they are, it becomes obvious that they're the ones heading to the finals, especially once Team New World manipulates time so they'll be the final matchup. Which is a short-sighted approach to writing something like a tournament arc. I mean, look at Sherry and her butler Ellsworth. Prominent characters introduced in this arc, using the tournament to get close to the ones organizing it as a way to solve the death of Sherry's parents, yet we never see any of her matches. Maybe the writers knew since her plans didn't require her to win the tournament, it wasn't necessary to show her progressing through. But
she was cool!
But considering her mini-boss promotion later on, it's a glaring missed opportunity not to give her at least a single episode match as a way to develop her more. Nope. Into the void of time with you, thought. Not only does this format mean other teams don't get as much screen time, though, it even carries over to the main
They just throw her into the tube and go, die, bitch, and that's it? That's all Sherry gets? What? That's all they do to her? They just like throw her and go, bye. What the fuck? That's awful. Into the dub? In the dub, that's what happens to her? It's, oh my god, no, it's like Jaden and GX where the people thought he died. That's terrible. That's her ending in the dub. That's foul. That's literally foul. They did my goat dirty. That's literally foul. Later, Frenchie, that's crazy. Jaden died in the dub. Yeah. So literally the last thing you see at the end of season 3, is they all go back to Duel Academy, but they couldn't find Jaden. So it's implied that when Jaden did the whole merge super poly thing with Yubel, that he just fucking died. So in the dub, people just thought he died. Which again, they try really hard to like censor and make sure no death happens until they accidentally kill their own characters. Or they give them worse than death. Like fucking, what the fuck's Misty's brother, where instead of dying, he's just being tortured forever. They should have forgotten from Bombs Beyond Time and W's have no context. Yeah, if you didn't like watch like the JP version or like read up online, I guess he had to assume that he was just dead and then just like randomly appears again. Jaden went to go learn to shoot lightning. Yeah, torture forever sounds worse. He's not torture forever, he's smiling. You're right. He's just making lightning and smiling, having a good time. He's being a really good sidekick. Bastion never came back. Well, I think Bastion chose to be that way, right? He wanted the hot Amazon girlfriend. But Adrian Gecko fucking sucks.
Cast themselves. With the 3-man teams, every character that isn't Yusei, Crow, or Jack are sidelined for the remainder of the season. Even then, with Yusei set as the anchor of the team, matches naturally always have to come down to him to make sure there's a proper give and take flow with their opponents. But that ends up creating a sort of Goku effect, where every problem inevitably has to be solved by Yusei. The worst of this being their match against Team Unicorn, where he has to take on the entire team by himself after Jack and Akiza are both eliminated.
Yeah, okay, I've seen this before.
If there was anyone who got it rough this season, it's Akiza. One of the highlights of the previous arcs, Akiza had some decent potential going into this tournament, even testing for a learner's permit after getting a taste for it riding with Yusei. From the setup, you expect this to be used as a way to expand on Akiza's character by having her strive to keep up with the rest of the team while learning the thrills of turbo duels. But after getting a single episode of development taking over for an injured Crow in the first match, she's then tossed back to warming the bench for the rest of the tournament.
Are you serious? That's all she... That's it? That's all she gets after? That's awful. That's literally awful. She got bitch being Dulux channel mascot? That's crazy. She only gets Yusei at the end. That's awful. Her last duel? That's it? Like, I watched this match. I watched the whole Team Unicorn one. So I know that she loses and passes to Yusei and she summons out Stardust Dragon. That was really cool. That was rad. I didn't know that was her last match of the whole series. What the fuck? That's terrible. They did her so dirty. My God, what the fuck? That's terrible.
Good hustle, Akiza. See you again in 40 episodes.
I know that you all took a big chance letting me on the team. And I know how much you guys all want to win this Grand Prix. I wasn't ready.
You're
So that was her last duel in the dub. Bro, y'all keep making the dub sound even worse. Not only do they throw Sherry into this time-space void and said, die, bitch, they made Akizo's last duel the fucking worst one humanly possible. That's terrible. That's awful. That's literally foul. Oh my god.
right, you weren't ready.
Outside of the general mishandling of some of its characters, pretty much every issue in this chunk of the series comes
thank you
down
for
to a
gifting
real
subs. Thank you. If you got one, be sure to say thank you.
lack of direction and proper pacing in how to handle this story arc, since it's trying to juggle both a tournament with a completely new structure and the main antagonist's time shenanigans. And that leads me to the second.
Oh my god, wait, why are you gifting more subs? Wait, what's happening? What? Why are you gifting more subs? What the fuck? What? I mean, thank you, but why? 5D's too peak? I mean, I guess, real, but oh my god, thank you. I appreciate it. If you got a gifted membership, I mean, a gifted sub on Twitch, be sure to say thank you. What the heck? Thank you. I'm gonna get to subs. I don't want y'all spending money, you fuckers. Because subs are better than dubs. Okay, I'm sorry. I'm a dub apologist. Generally, I'm a dub apologist. I usually am fine with anime dubs. They're usually okay. This is unacceptable, but generally, I think dubs are just fine. They're like whatever. Like, don't get me wrong. I generally watch anime. Well, it depends, right? ECP, don't give me subs, idiot. Fuck you. Anyway, I would say honestly, it depends on the anime, like, or what I'm watching. If I'm watching at home, or like if the anime only is subbed, of course I'll watch it subbed. That's generally how I do it. But if I'm at work and I'm like, I can't look at the screen the entire time, I watch anime dubbed and it's fine. Like, at the bare minimum, most modern anime dubs are fine. They're okay. Like, I wouldn't say they're bad. Stop giving me subs, idiots! Leave me alone! Oh my god. Fuck you. Yeah, I would say most modern anime dubs, for now, are fine. They're not bad. Like, you can listen to it and not want to kill yourself. But don't give me memberships. Fuck off. Stop it. If you got a gift membership, be sure to say thank you. It's okay to be wrong. I don't know, man. I think, again, like I said, modern dubs are at least fine. Of course, like, doesn't get a bad rap because of all the old 4Kids stuff. True. Yeah, most modern stuff's fine. It's not bad. It's like whatever. Like I said, most of them, when I watch anime, it usually is subtitled. I usually prefer to watch GP. But sometimes you still watch anime dubbed and it's fine. Yeah, 4Kids, I would say, is like an exception to that. What 4Kids is doing right now is really fucking bad. Like, cutting out parts of, like, the story to the point where it makes it worse is pretty bad. Like, poor Akiza, they did her so dirty. They did her so dirty. Now the Ghost Stories dubbed. Ghost Stories dub's a good time. Of course I've seen it. It's a good time. Thanks for subscribing with Twitch Prime. Thank you. Take Amazon's money instead of mine then. Thank you. I appreciate it. The pointing aggressively is very funny. The Yu Hakusho dub's also pretty good. Bakuno's really good. Dororo dub's pretty good. Oh my god, stop gifting subs on Twitch! Leave me alone! Fuck off! I hate you! Shut up! So yeah, Dororo's dub is really good. I would say Code Geass's dub is pretty good. Stop giving me subs! I'm trying to talk anime! Leave me alone! Fuck off! Oh my god. Stop. Fuck off. Fuck off. Stop giving me subs, idiots. Shut up. Code Geass is my favorite dub. Code Geass dub's very good. I quite like it. Oh my god! I really need to message you back in the Glitch Art server. I'm so sorry. I just forgot that I didn't do that yet. No! Q, no! Stop giving no! No! Trisha, stop! No! Fuck off! Shut up! You know what? I'm gonna start ignoring you. I'm gonna start ignoring you so you guys won't. It's not for me back. Oh my god. Fuck off. Yeah, I'm gonna start ignoring you guys. Yeah, Soul Eater does pretty good too. I feel like a lot of Early 2000s Funimation dubs were pretty good. Same with like Full Metal Alchemist, the dub there's pretty good. She hates us. I do hate you, chat. Fuck you, Twitch chat. Stop giving me subs, idiots. Stop being nice to me and give me subs. Fuck you, chat.
Issue 5D's run.
The dump on the cult storyline from the Illustrated Villains were due to college DPCU being an IRL cult. Yeah, I heard about that. That's crazy. Oh my god! What did I tell you? Stop! Okay, no, I need to ignore Twitch chats. If not, I will be here forever being like, shut up. Anyway, back to the react.
Runs into with these later arcs. Time travel. Look, I know everyone loves Terminator, but if I can give one word of advice for any aspiring writers out there, it is to avoid time travel plots like it's a Blanca player. That is, only engaging with it when absolutely necessary. While it's indeed provided some of the greatest stories ever told, time travel is possibly one of the toughest concepts a writer can introduce into their—
I'm sorry, 13 Sentinels is also a very good game. If you have not played it, very good. Chef's kiss. Do you recommend? If you like mechs especially, very good.
World. Because if it's not extremely well thought out, you immediately open yourself up to scrutiny from the audience. If these characters can travel through time, why didn't they just do XYZ? If they went back to the past to change something, wouldn't that create a time paradox where the event of them being sent back never happens? Why didn't they just go back to kill Hitler? And 5Ds
oh my god,
is a prime example. To make this easier for me, because frankly my brain's already making TARDIS noises, I'm gonna start with the main antagonist story first, and then dissect it from there. So approximately 200 years into the future, synchro summons proved to be the first step to a perpetually evolving system that loses all control, gradually leading to a dark, hostile future dystopia that no one could survive in, leaving only the worst to fight over the scraps, where the survivors are indistinguishable from beasts, as they lose whatever's left of their humanity for one more chance to make it through another day.
Oh my god.
Sorry, I've been playing a lot of Master Duel lately.
Real.
To be more specific, the evolution of synchro summoning over the last 2 centuries, combined with humanity's utter hubris, caused the world's NRD reactors to go critical, summoning an army of killer robots bent on humanity's destruction. In an attempt to save the remainder of the world's population from the invasion after its initial attack, a scientist tries to rally the masses using Yusei's stolen valor as a great hero of the past. But it ultimately fails, leaving 4 humans on the planet: Zone, Asporio, Antinomy, and, in a clever tie-in to the 10th anniversary film, Paradox.
What?
Before then spend the remaining—
Wait. The guy from the movies in the show? What? He's canon? What the fuck? I didn't know he was a part of the main series. Again, at this point, I haven't seen this part of 5Ds, so I didn't know. What the fuck? That's so cool. Yeah, he didn't want to get rid of dual mods like the other 3. Oh. You gotta finish 5Ds? It's so long! It better with like plan B, I see. So Yugi, Jaden, and Yusei meeting was Ken. That's crazy. Okay.
Remainder of their years working on a solution for saving the past from this apocalyptic future. And what did they come to after all these years? To turn themselves into robots, go back to the past, form a secret society, organize a citywide tournament to generate enough dueling energy to summon a repurposed satellite district turned divine temple, with the intention of smashing it into New Domino, triggering a massive zero reverse event in hopes of stopping future use of NRD or synchros.
What?
Okay, so first question. If you have the ability to go to the past, why not just tell everyone the danger NRD presents if not handled properly? Like, I can understand contrivances for the sake of the plot, and they're clearly going for an evil deeds for the greater good angle here, but what's stopping Aporio from going to the past, like... BT dubs, guys. You don't get this whole clean energy thing figured out, robots are gonna start copper bombing the place. Deuces. No, the logical conclusion is to cause a Chernobyl-level disaster and hope that teaches everyone a lesson.
Oh my god.
In fairness, using synchro summons as a metaphor for a potential technological singularity is actually an intriguing way of blending the card game into the narrative, especially since, in the real-world context, this was a drastic change to the game's format that had the potential of breaking it. Nowadays, every new Yu-Gi-Oh series is expected to introduce a unique form of summoning that the story is then built around, Zexals with Xyz, Archview with Pendulums, etc. But at this point in the franchise, 5Ds was treading new ground with this. Tuners and Synchros were the first clear attempt at redefining the playstyle of the game by adding in a new summoning style not outlined in the earlier rule sets. And with it came a degree of apprehension from longtime players who felt this presented a negative shift in the game's design, as it signaled an escalation in speed. Synchro summons? Cringe!
What?
So taking that idea and using it as the driving force for the antagonist's actions was a smart way of placing them in direct opposition to the main protagonists, who now have to prove it's worth protecting. The issue, however, is that by casually introducing time travel into an ongoing story, specifically time travel that characters seemingly have control over, it effectively takes the audience's suspension of disbelief out behind a shed to be put down like a Vendrett's player. Because it gives 0-1 and the rest of Iliaster near omnipotent power without an established limit. This is not a narrative that accounted for time travel when it was originally written, so the story has to repeatedly bend over backwards to justify the villains messing with the timeline and how that affects past events. A challenge it handles with the grace of, well, me. Like, Iliaster were actually the ones that caused the original Zero Reverse in an attempt to make sure humanity never use NRD again, thus preventing their future, even though it was established in the preceding arcs that it was caused by the Darksigners to open up the gates for the Earthbound Immortals. There's absolutely no reason to retcon this plot point other than to retroactively insert these new villains into the previously established lore at...
Okay. They probably won't bring it up in here, but I've had a question that I know will be answered if I watch 5Ds, and I'm sure the video will also bring it up as well. But why the fuck does Yusei turn old? Why does Yusei turn old to have like a robot for half his face? What? Is that like Yusei's dad? It's not Yusei. I see. Okay. Anyway.
At the cost of the story already told. It's the Bleach school of writing.
Hold on. Didn't you say this video was to talk about how amazing 5Ds is? Why have you spent the last 15 minutes ragging on it?
Oh, that was the first guy. I'm the replacement, and I'm going for more of a critical re-examination angle here. Definitely didn't get most of the way through this script and realized I had to address certain writing flaws that popped up. Absolutely not.
Real.
In all honesty, these last two arcs feel like a story where the writer had a strong idea of their ending and then worked backwards. Not necessarily the wrong approach. Plenty of authors write their stories that way since it gives them a clear direction to work towards with their characters. It's just that with 5Ds, they had their end goal in mind, but then struggled to get there from where they were. So the holes were filled in with time travel retcons and fleets of robots.
What?
I can overlook a decent amount of these slip-ups though, because it all culminates in one of my favorite arcs of this entire franchise.
Bruno,
the
my
Arc Cradle
God!
arc, as it is back-to-back-to-back bangers. When I said previously that a sizable chunk of the best duels from this series were cut by 4Kids, nearly all of them are in this 24-episode finale. And it's here that all the thematic seeding over the course of the last 60 episodes gets paid off. In order to stop Iliaster's plan to destroy New Domino with a future version of the satellite, Team 5Ds are left with no choice but to take the Norse God Express up to the Arc Cradle itself in hopes they can reverse its trajectory, with the knowledge this might be a suicide mission. But before the signers can face off against Zone to save the day, they need to get through his 3 mini-bosses. First, there's Sherry, whose inability to get over the loss of her parents.
Wait! I thought Sherry was one of the guys. I thought Sherry was a bro. Why the fuck is Sherry with the evil people? I get Bruno, because isn't Bruno like a robot? I understand that one. Why the fuck is Sherry there? Because she's French? It's always the fucking French, man. It's always the fucking French. Because she's French.
Leads her to believing Zone can create a version of the world where everyone's reconnected with their loved ones.
Is he?
As long as he's allowed to blow up this one teeny tiny city. She almost gets Crow on her side too by taking advantage of his love for the orphans he looks after.
That's fucked up.
Until Akiza reminds him that they can't wallow in
Also,
the
thank you for the raid on Twitch. Welcome, raiders. Hi, I'm Noel Picker Games. Nice to meet you. Welcome. We had a good stream.
past and have to move forward if they want to make the future a better place. Also, Sherry's soul-binding gate is just so sick. Then on the note of insane visual spectacle, there's Yusei's match against Bruno, the robotic form of Antimony, whose mission was to push Yusei into learning a new form of synchro summoning that would help them draw out the Arc Cradle. This plan was complicated, however, by his temporary amnesia, resulting in his alternate personality Bruno becoming attached to Yusei and Team 5Ds, and seeing the potential they had to save the future their own way. So, torn between his allegiance to Zone and his friendship with Yusei, Antinomy creates a do-or-die situation. If Yusei can't beat him by surpassing the limits of Excel Synchro, thus proving he can defeat Zone and save the future, he'll be absorbed into a black hole. Additionally, I didn't realize until working on this part of the script and looking up the proper pronunciation, the wordplay going on with Antimony's naming. Clever. But by far my
Oh, I see.
The wordplay going on with Antimony's naming. Clever. But by far my favorite duel of this arc, and the one I want to put a special spotlight on, is Jack, Luna, and Leo's match against Aporia, the combined form of Team New World. Because, as I hinted at earlier, about an hour ago, this is where Leo truly gets his moment to shine. You see, throughout the series, Leo is constantly framed as having to live in the shadow of the signers, including his own twin sister. He's the kid that's desperate to prove themselves, but that just makes him look that much more mature. He constantly makes mistakes in his vain attempts to keep up with the rest of the team, resulting in an impressive loss record, and usually requiring others' help to get him out of trouble. Up until they arrive at the Arc Cradle, Leo is the symbol of mediocrity. And the match with Aporio doesn't start much differently.
What's crazy is that Bruno doing his Excel Synchro causes a starting a supernova and causes a black hole? What the fuck?
All Leo's strategies to get the upper hand end up completely backfiring, causing Jack and Luna to suffer as each of his attempts to help get countered by the robot from the future. Mistake after mistake brings Jack and Luna closer to death's door, pushing Leo to his absolute limits. So Aporio gives him a choice: take the L and spare his friends from death, or keep fighting in spite of it all. And this is why it's interesting that Leo was made the star of this match. Repeatedly, Leo's seen that he isn't good enough to play on the rest of the team's level, and now that weakness could come at the cost of the lives of his loved ones. This is an impossibly frustrating situation for a child to be put into. But rather than give up, he stakes his life on making sure Luna and Jack can make it through the match alive. And that's what finally awakens his own signer mark, shattering the metaphorical and literal shell of his ace monster into the live-stream dragon teased over 100 episodes ago. I know some feel Crow took Leo's spot as the 5th signer at the end of the Dark Signers, thus ruining his implied character arc that was set up early on, but I feel this whole self-actualization moment here works at its best this late into the game. For all the talk about surpassing one's limits throughout these last 2 arcs, that's a far easier.
Little too late, Leo's worst signer. Leave my son alone. He fucking died. My son just died right in front of you, bitch. Leave him alone. He's doing his best. He's trying his best, okay? Fuck you. Leave my son alone. He's doing great. He was good with the others too. He tried his best, okay? He's trying. He's trying. The Twitch will pay for his funeral and cremation, at least. That's crazy. Are you winning, son? I think my son won. I think he did okay. Bro came back to be mid again? No, he's doing great. Leave him alone.
Mentality to keep when you
Start
already
the
have
telephone
dozens
loop.
of wins already at your back. But another thing entirely when you don't. Leo has lost and lost and lost. And while he almost gives up, he finds the courage to push through in the end. That's why of all the signers, Leo is the one who feels like he genuinely earns his mark, rather than something given to him at birth. Yeah, it admittedly sucks that one of the 2 female main characters in this series is ultimately relegated to being nothing more than a tool for a brother's development, but even then, I can't help but love this match. It takes a well-told story to take a C-tier character who's made to be the butt of the joke and turn them around in a single duel. No matter how much I gripe about its shaky build-up, all the duels in the Arc Cradle are full of pathos and drama that makes each antagonist more nuanced than a temporary wall that needs to be worked around by the protagonists. Sherry is racked with grief over her parents that she's willing to believe Zone can bring them back and refuses to hear otherwise. Antimony is torn between loyalties of friends who have diametrically opposed goals. And Aporio's desperate to save humanity from the despair-filled future they had to live through. But it takes one child's personal growth moment to make him realize that there's still hope there if one's ready to fight for it. This entire arc further proves the point that the best duels in this series are often less about the actual game being played and more about the meaning behind them. Which brings us to the final matchup, Yusei versus Zone. And I don't know how well I can articulate this one other than pointing wildly at the 2 flying through the skies into a domino as their cradle comes crashing down around them. This is 5D's over-the-top nature mixed with genuine sincerity, reaching critical overload. As Zone waxes philosophical about the nature of despair and wanting to save mankind from its own hubris by putting the world in its place before it flies too close to the sun, all while smashing Yusei in a building like it's a shonen battle manga. And on top of it all, there's even the recurring tournament MC choosing to stay behind at the sector security building to provide color commentary for the match so that the rest of New Domino can properly flee while still getting the play-by-play. Not only because it will help with evacuations, but because he just loves the game that much. This is the equivalent of an Evo commentator remaining at their table as the venue around them crumbles so that no one misses a single mix-up.
目の前でこんなにすごいデュエルが行われているというのに私が実況しなかったら誰がするんです
Spitting.
And if not to bring it all full circle, Yusei's final play is to use all his friends' signature dragons for one massive limit over excel synchro.
Oh, that's
tying
fucking
together
rad!
the idea of how
Wait, that's
bonds
so
are that has
cool!
been littered throughout this series. This isn't about Yusei summoning a dragon the size of the Seattle Tower. This is a culmination of the bonds he made to get here,
Wait, that's
helping him
rad.
to protect the present and save the future. That's because if anything is going to make the world a better place, it's not through more destruction and death, It's not rejecting reality or embracing cynicism, it's the ability to rely on those around you. The connections you make with others are what's going to make the difference in the end and help you to be a better person. Even Zone understood this deep down when he originally started this plan, as he had a faint hope that the true Yusei could be guided to protect the future, as that was the hidden reason he sent a Timony to teach him about Excel Synchro in the first place. And in the end, that was the key to bring the people together to make sure their future doesn't happen. So Zone can find peace leaving the present in their hands. Yes, I know it's corny, shonen, power of friendship shit. Shut up.
Okay, I ain't gonna lie, Chief. I also am a sucker for corny shonen shit. This shit's peak to me. It gives me so much serotonin every time. Every shonen anime, no matter how corny it is, it makes me so happy. It's peak. Bro, corny shit like this is peak to me. It's fire. We know Fairy Tail Enjoyer. I know, Fairy Tail's terrible, but it's so corny and power of friendship. It makes me happy. And do the Nakama to my friendships every time. Fairy Tail. I know Fairy Tail's bad, but it gives me serotonin. But bonds, true.
It's hype. Frankly, when I started my rewatch of 5Ds, I wasn't expecting much beyond something to listen to in the background while I worked on other scripts. Definitely wasn't planning on making an hour-long video about it. It had been years since I'd seen the series the entire way through, and never with the sub version proper. So I was mostly just curious to see how it held up, and that's why I was surprised with how genuinely invested I was in these characters by the end. Even if some of them got completely shafted for a large portion of the story.
Fucking
Yusei's
real.
hopes to save the satellite after years of strife and poverty, Jack's struggles between his childhood friendships and his desire to be the best, Akiza dealing with her emotional trauma with her parents and coming to accept her psychic powers as part of who she is, and Leo's 140 episode long journey to finally get a W. This is everything
140
Yu-Gi-Oh! As a
episodes?
series
Jesus.
does at its best, using card games to prop up fun, engaging character stories. But I think the most interesting point 5Ds makes is actually in its epilogue. With the Arc Cradle issue resolved, New Domino is now safe, and all the steps have been taken to make sure that bleak future won't happen, leaving Team 5Ds with a question. What now? After fighting so hard to guarantee their future, what are they gonna do with it? These characters have relied so much on each other to make it through the last couple world-ending catastrophes that they're uncertain of where they go from here.
Crow becomes a cop? Back. I don't know why this is like the biggest shock to me is that Crow becomes a fucking cop. That's crazy. That's crazy. That Crow becomes a fucking cop.
Each of them is presented with options on what they can do moving forward, but all of them require them moving away from the others. After finally talking about it, Jack is the only one prepared to break up the group if that's what it requires for him to pursue his goal. And while it sounds selfish at first, it's also understanding of the issue. Their work as signers is done. It's time that they go out and live their own lives now. Everyone's still apprehensive though, so Yusei proposes one last match with Jack, under the pretense it will help him make his own decision. But it's more than that. A frequent theme across Yu-Gi-Oh! And shonen anime in general is the importance of friendship. How if you have friends by your side, they'll get you through anything. And that's a great lesson to reinforce. It's a staple of the genre for a reason. But the note 5Ds ends on is a bit more mature than that. While those bonds are important for getting you through life, there will come times where you have to stand on your own 2 feet and walk your own path, possibly away from those friends, which is never easy. Whether it's moving to a new town for university or relocating for your job, saying goodbye to your friends can be tough. So in the same vein of Yugi vs. Atem and Duel Monsters, this epilogue duel is a way for the characters to put a close to this chapter in their life. This story started with Yusei looking to settle his feud with Jack after what happened between them in the satellite, and it concludes with the two saying goodbye to each other and their friends in the only way they know how. Plus, if there was a duel to send this series off on, it's this. An even back and forth match between characters with an extensive history, a showcase of how synchro summons fundamentally change the way duels are approached, hype motorcycle action, all made better through the use of fantastic insert songs. And in the end, Yusei pulls through by utilizing all the same low-level junk cards he's been playing since the first episodes, keeping to his core ideology that every card and person has its purpose to the very end. Everyone has their place in life, and it's just a matter of going out to discover what that is. 5Ds may be known as a darker series within the grander Yu-Gi-Oh franchise, but in actuality, it's brimming with hope that we can all find our way eventually.
I ain't gonna
even
lie,
if
wait.
we struggle along the way. It's simply having the confidence in yourself and the bonds you make getting there. Thanks again for watching, and have a good one.
Okay, this is gonna peak. I ain't gonna lie. Wait, that was gonna peak. Finish it. Okay. I'll try to find time to finish 5Ds. That was peak. That was peak. Okay, I'll watch it. I'll watch it. Jeez. The last arc alone sounds fire. Watch party, when I was watching 5Ds with channel members and Twitch subs, so if you have that, we watched, what's it called? 5Ds there. We did the propaganda video work. How far did you watch the 5Ds? I was in the WGP arc. You did the ending on the bridge? Or the duel I just did? Maybe you see for Clear Mind, change your mind in the song. I don't know. The song's just whatever. I've seen a clip of the duel too. We should look at Blade Turn tomorrow. Good luck, gamer. But yeah, that stream, brother. I'll be going on vacation this weekend to visit my family, so I won't be streaming this weekend. But thank you guys as always for hanging out with me. It's a very good time. If you're on Twitch, I'll raid you guys out. Have you seen GX? GX is my favorite Yu-Gi-Oh series. It's so good. But yeah, if you're on Twitch, I'll raid you guys out. And if you're on YouTube, just be sad. If you're on YouTube, be sure to subscribe. I'm trying to get 100K. I'm almost there. And if you're on YouTube or on Twitch, you can follow or subscribe to my YouTube channel too. I don't know. Anyway, I'll see you guys Monday. Okay. Bye-bye.